Good evening. I am Raphael, MrTacpans's. I am what you call in my book now. I have changed. I have gone on to a new chapter in the book. I have now become the Space Invader. The Space Invader is a game they played back in basically the 80s. And it was little men, but it was dots. It was only dots, and only the dots were moving. But when you watched them with your eyes, it looked like it was an animal and it was moving. Okay? So I'm going to explain to you something from my last video first. Okay, and then I got to go back to the thought adjuster and Jesus Christ adjuster, because I'm thinking of this right now. And the dog and the cat. Okay, and the apple and the orange. There's so much. Okay, from the last video, okay, the dog and the cat, okay, and I don't know if I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I'm sorry. Okay, the cat is sleek. She goes just straight east and west. The only thing she wanted to do all her life, okay, her choice in life, okay, was to do what she did, and she ended up to be a cat of which color? The black cat, why it's so scary is because in life, they were good at everything. And they were so good, they cheated everybody. And they became the cheetah. But they cheated for the right reason. So the cheetah is free in the wild, and he is a wild cat, but he's free. He cheated. But the system adjusted his reasoning based on the elements of creation. Are you into URANTIA? The ranch of the ants? For anybody who doesn't know, I'm going to get back to the cats and the dog, try and remind me, but we're not more than a little dot in our minds. That connection dot between the element of the spinal cord and all the elements of our body is what makes who we are. Now the mind is how we use it. You see, in the URANTIA system that I understand through one of my revelations, the URANTIA system is based on evening everything out. If you jump to a spot, if you start at 1, you jump to a spot, what has happened? You were standing on the spot as 1, you pushed off the jump as 2 from the earth, because you now use the earth element beneath you, and you landed on a spot. And then you're going to pump off of that spot to go to the next spot. And those are the rainbows of life, rounded out V letters that you see on the playing cards. Okay, I'm not going to show you everything. Now, to get back to the cat and the dog. Okay, now the dog was he a wolf? What was going on? Was he a tax collector? And grandma in bed, she didn't pay her taxes, and Little Red Riding Hood, the red spirit, she wore it as a hat and she wore it as a suit. The question was she testing the wolf? She wore red. She knew the wolf would come after. The wolf is spirit, and the spirit in a wolf's reflection in his own life, that was money. So when he sees Little Red Riding Hood red, all he thinks about is money. The same thing with the bull market. The same thing with the bear. When the bear sees black, right? What happens when you see black? What happens when you see red? When the bear sees black, it means a plus and you're making money. When the bull sees red, you must be losing money. Is that the way it works? The bull is red and you're losing? Well, red is a plus, no? And black is a minus. So the red bull would be a plus. And where the bear would be black and she's a minus connection for AC/DC. Because the DC of the whole thing is at the end, there's a rake. And they don't even have a rake. This is what they rake with. Man rakes with his fingers. Man puts action. Man makes things happen in action with his mouth. Do this, do that, do this. So she was a cat, she was a pussy. Just wanted to sit at home. So we gave her a good home. But you know what? Bob Barker once said, we want to spade and neuter your cats. Just by those 2 words, okay? I just had a revelation about 15 minutes ago, and that's why I'm saying BB, Bob Barker, 2 and 2, life creation. Neuter is because your angel, if you become life, if you decide to take life, if you win in the URANTIA and you get into the system, okay, in one way or another, knowing or not knowing, okay, it's a system. It's all based on, hold on a second. The Boston Bruin colors. You see inside? You know what's inside of here? Which way are you going, kid? Oh, you're a northern boy. Which way are you going, kid? You're a Western boy. Which way are you going, kid? I'm going down south. Oh, you're a Southern boy. So when you go southwest, okay, you're going for the spirit of the beta creation. Whatever temperature, wherever you go on here, is what you're looking for in life. This whole globe is the center of who you are. This is in your mind, okay? We connect up to another system. We are alive. We're alive. Don't worry, we're alive without the system, okay? But we don't get to choose after, okay? Just like the cat and the dog. The dog got a collar. He called her all the time. He called everybody. He bothered everybody for the wrong reason. So he got a tight collar, or they made him a small dog, or they made him a big dog. It all depended. The wolf was in the forest. He had big eyes when he got to grandmother's house. She saw his big eyes. She was laughing all the time. She didn't give two hoots. She was life. She was everything about life, Grandma. Grandma's everything about life. Without Grandma, your Bubby and your mother and your father is not here. Without Grandma and Little Red Riding Hood, the spirit who rides inside of you, she wasn't scared because she rides everywhere. You can eat her up and she comes back again. Because the Little Red Riding Hood is this. And that's Grandma's house. You know what happens at Grandma's house? Grandma swallows you up in the five-hole. Do you know why Grandma swallows you up in the five-hole? Because look at that one dot in the center, you get swallowed up. God cut off his legs. He had peg legs, so when he walked, he made all those dots. The reasons the dots are dark is because it goes in. Anything that you put something in is dark on the inside. When you plug up your computer, check if it's a male or a female, you must go with Bell. Bell is a number one. They're all female connections. Cable has a male connection, which means there's an outside chance, okay, that from around, if you don't put a condom on it, okay, the element of energy of communication will go right through your cable over the landlines of, because your cable runs through a central system, which is actually a satellite system, and it's not the same as Bell under the ground. That's why in the Matrix they went under the ground, my friend. You got to go under the ground. The rats are there. You know what I'm saying? You got to hang out with the rats. They know all the communication is down there, because when you bury the Christ cross into the ground, you need an element of ground in that, and that's the goal of God, is the grounding of the element in the earth to create his own world of Christ. Because Christ is a power and an energy. I'm going to get back to the cat and the dog for a minute. I'll go, okay, let me finish with the dog. So if you want to talk about the dog, an average dog, maybe compared to you, let's say it's 80 or 90 pounds, okay, based on what they talked about in the year 2000 with 6.66 billion people, okay, what that means is you have 9 lives of the cat divided by 6.6 billion people, and the result is 7.4. So I look it up on my computer, and how old is this dog? The dog? 7.4 is the exact number for the dog's age compared to man. You know what the number of Christ is? 74. Do you know why? 4 and 4, right? He's the 74. Okay? If you think this doesn't count, do you know what this is? This is the North Pole, and this is the South Pole, just over to the east and to the west. That's why they say the Middle East. It's because of this, the angle that it's on, this whole thing. Okay? And this is a creation card. This is a basic setup of the matrix. And if you notice, there's one eye here, and there's one eye here, and there's an E here and a sigma, and an E here and a sigma. If I turn it this way, okay, you'll see pig's eyes, eyes of the wolf will start to show up. You'll see cuts, because God cut everything. Everything of our system that we live in right now comes out of the letters and the numbers of our alphabets. Depending on which part you're in is pending which kind of letter shapes you're going to use, and colors for the kind of world it is. Because if I don't want to go into your world and I see a certain color I don't like, I'm not going in. If I see pink, I'm not going to be too sure. You see, in this world, it's the red blood and the white ghost of God. But the red blood is what was the money to make us go, 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 go. So if I pass by pink, I'm going to think it's a pig. And I'm going to think of a man. And I'm going to think it's a pig world. And I don't want to go back to that pig world. Pig. The first letters of P, 1 and 6. Spirit man. So URANTIA world is we're all dots. So it doesn't matter what anybody does in this whole world. Okay? What happens in the year 7000, okay, they said that Noah, okay, was here. So Noah, okay, the letter N is the 14th letter. 1 and 4 means 5 passage, plus the first year, which is 0 and 1 and 1 and 0. 101 means I'm in the center spot to the left of your angel 1. To the right of your angel 1, to you your angel is -1, to your angel you are +1, and back and forth as we go all around. That's why an X with the 1 on the one side and the 1 on the other side, east or west side, tells you which you're talking about, the angel or the man, the 4 or the 6. The division is 20%. I don't know why it works that way. But anyways, so what happens, we're all in the mind. And now what happens, the thought adjuster, okay, took and invested in Jesus Christ, which is an element, okay, of purity, okay. It's only a little tiny dot, and he connects it to your connection, okay. He decides to come into this world through a man, but he can't come in unless the passage is 5. It's got to be 5 on both sides. 55 is the passage over America. That's the freedom number of America. They tell you all the numbers in America. America tells you the whole story of the history and the future of man. Thank God for America. Except for the blue, I'm not too crazy about. You know, navy blue belongs in the Arctic. You guys are close to the ocean. You should put a little bit of white in there. It'll help out. I'm telling you. It'll change around for America if you lighten up the blue around the white, showing that the white has penetrated into the navy blue, and it is God, the Spirit of God, and not the beta system creation that God created in the system that takes over. It must be a baby blue. Israel has it. Greece has it, and Quebec has it, and we're all pretty much quiet. So anyways, in this URANTIA world, what happens now is Moses comes, and according to the worlds, it's like this. 9 of 1, 2, 3, 4 corners, times 2.5. 2.5 men. Why 2.5 men? Because an east and west counts for a quarter, a north and south counts for 1, because it's the heavens, it's the heaven connection. This is the Christ. These things are Christs. It's electronics. It's in the electrical world. It hooks up to the power of the universe, Christ. So anyways, you have 1 world here, 1 corner here, 1 corner here, 1 corner here, in the world of 9. 9 by 4 is 36. I'm just trying to see what I was getting at. Wow, I lost my thought. Anyways, I'm just going to jump back into the URANTIA world. So what happens? Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. So Moses, okay, look, 1 side, 2 side, right? And this is a half side because it's 1 of 1. It's 1/2. 1 of 2 is 1/2. So 2.5 men are right here. So 2.5 by 940 years. Why 940? Well, it's a 10-10 world. Okay, so you just have to multiply it by the proper number. Anyways, whatever it is, comes out to 2,350. So I figure Moses is born 2,350. So I go 2350. So 2 and 3 is 5, and a 50 of the 50 passage. Boom, Moses is born. Jesus is born. 0 time. Even if it was 1 year before or 2 years before, it doesn't really matter. Even if it was 4 years before. As long as he's born inside the angle of God, which means 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Because the 5th gets created inside the 4. The center point, where all the X's turn at the 45 degrees, and that's why we can't use it in tennis. So now, calculating the Titanic, what happened in the Antarctica, the Golden Girls, because of the aloe vera, thank you very much, because of the lakes and mountains, because of icebergs, and the color in the iceberg is a baby blue. That means the angels have went through a period of 10,000 years frozen in hell. Whoever was an add-on after that, well, they're lucky they get to come back before, like those in the Titanic, they will come back to life, and they re-enter the system. Now, they had all this time as water to decide on their own in the silver world. Okay, the silver world is the water and ice world. Ice water. So, well, it does look silver, so you have to reflect it to the ice. So when you look in the mirror, you're reflecting on yourself. So while being frozen in the ice, everybody had time to reflect. Everybody was around each other. They all died together. So the good will be with the bad for as much time as 100 years passed. Now when you see the baby blue, you know, well, not everybody got cured. But whatever turned white, and especially that crystal white, that where the air got in, that's because they're ready for a new life inside the ice. It's now traveling and it's melting. At the same time it rises to the sun. Once it hits the sun, it knows right away. And it doesn't take very long from time to time when the weather changes, does it? So it's that fast. Okay, so now what happens is the thought adjuster, time has passed again. You see, it was Noah, 2,350 years, and then it was 1,420 years after Moses, 2350 and 1420. So 14 2020 or 2014. 2014 is in 3 years. The portal opens. The man knew what was going on because they were to read thousands of years in advance, but they died. They can't see what the ones who progressed, there weren't enough of them to progress in the story. So I followed into the story and I looked at everything. Well, Joker's to the left of me, Joker's to the right, who the hell am I? Well, I'm man 6. So if there's a Joker to the left, that's 1 Joker. A Joker to the right, that's 2 Jokers. There's 4 in the deck. That means they're each worth a quarter. I'm man 6, 25, 6, 25, and I'm the center of the 2 Jokers. Whether I'm going to take the red Joker or the black Joker, I'm the choice of the Joker. I become the Joker. So in 2014, this thought adjuster will come back into the world because he must even out the game. Because what is happening right now, okay, is this ball is moving. And if you notice, you see the black on the bottom? Okay, but look at the top. It's not black, it's all white. The black ball and the white ball. You see how the white ball takes up everything? Take a look at the middle. There's a black and a gray on each side, and then it's white again. That's basically the space we live in. Everything else, there's a little bit more purity, and that's why they have the north. Okay? And if you see what I'm pointing to, northeast and east, this is insane. I feel like crying. This is exactly where it's going to happen. It has to happen in a place that has a rebound. And Canada has a rebound of 3 hours of 3 worlds to California. California was a CA dot. In Canada is a .ca, the continuation in between is a Y. So what we have is the cayenne, right? What do we have? We have C-A-Y-Y-A-N. Cayman Islands, maybe it's Cayman Islands. Why is it you exchange? We play a letter exchange, okay? It could be the Cayman Islands. The reason I put the Y is the Y in the road is between the first part and the dot in the second part. When there's a dot, it means something goes after it with a value. So you put a value there, and now you know the one side of the situation, the other side of the situation. Now what you choose to put there, if you know what the signs are, you can read that part. Now you have a middle to the 2 sides. Now you can go in between the 2 sides at 22.5 degrees, and now look at the whole difference of the 2 sides. And this is what Thought Adjuster is all about. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Whatever you do in this world, it doesn't matter to him. It doesn't. The only thing that matters is that you do. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. Because for him, somebody in the system means space. Space means you invade space, you take over space. You take over space, he becomes a space invader. He runs space. Space and the elements of space recreate on their own. If you take an apple and poke a hole in it, in this world, air gets in. Air gets in and it starts to create. So in the other world, the air by the elements, just like that, is held out. It is blocked out from coming in and changing the elements of the passage of where it is. But God goes ahead and he takes the elements and he passes and he pokes a hole in it. And he puts them together and he sees what the difference is of the two. Until eventually one day he came up with something. Because don't forget, he had one element everybody keeps forgetting. He's himself. All he has to do is a little bit of his DNA and then fold the page. Put a little stuff, fold the page, you double up. Fold the page in 4, you double up. You ever remember that game we play? Open, close, 2, 4, 6, 8, 1, 3, 5, 6, nothing. You know? Well, talking about even and odd numbers, I'll get back to URANTIA in a minute and the thought adjuster coming. The thought adjuster. Okay, now I forgot about that, I forgot about this, I forgot about that. So now I have, back to this, the KN, okay? It means California and Canada, okay? I didn't put the C, probably for a reason. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it does when I put the C. Oh, there goes all my markers on the floor. So if I add the C, it's C-A-K-K, yak, knack. Nancy Sunshine, Nassau, Cayman Islands and Nassau. That's what I got out of that. So it means between California and where we are in Canada, it says somewhere in Nassau, C-A.A.C. Y, kayak. It's a boat. Kayak's a boat. Where do they use kayaks right now? Is there any races going on? Why do we have this? 3, 4, 29, 30, 33. Oh my God. Look at that. It works out perfect. California, Canada. The Y means a division between the two. The Y means because he broke a rib from the X. This should be an X. This is not a Y. This is an X. He breaks a rib, bringing this value, okay, to 25. The A's are 26, 27, 30, and 33. All these are red on roulette. It stands for creation. Now what happens if I put an X in between and the X says, okay, what's the answer? But the Y says I split up between both sides. I divide. The Y says I divide. So when you want to divide and you conquer, you have your own world in God's world. You have to see, you see, the definitions of everything in this world are so twisted because we don't know. If we don't read, we don't know. How can we know what we don't know? What we don't even know to ask, to see, then you go to God. And you say, okay, we must be businessmen no matter where we go, and even in church, because there's 1,000 churches today. God made all the churches so that the bubble one day will connect together and they will be strong and powerful. Right now, what seems to be powerful in the church is because they're what I call united, because they're only one. Okay, there's only one big church out there. Everybody else, well, you don't count. You don't count for them, but for me, oh my God, the more little churches, the more little bubbles, the more little laughs, the more country folk, the more country people. The country is where God is from. Country of angels. Why do you think they call it Canada, CA? It's the country of angels. Neutralize, okay, which means the fourth angel, okay, of God angel, okay, dot, 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 dot. 4 in 1 is passage and passage and passage, full of passages up in Canada. When you go the other way, okay, CA dot, somebody else is finishing off your last name, so it's not your choice in California anymore. But in Canada and the North, you still have a lot of leeway. So that's why it's up here. And I don't know if I mentioned this in another video. Anyways, no, I want to get back to URANTIA, and I want to get back to the thought adjuster, okay? Now, through my understanding, is that this thought adjuster must come in at a certain number, okay? The most important number to come in is on 5, because when you're on 5, all the floors must be on 5. And it's not me. I didn't create these dice, okay? It's the way they work together. It's got to be a 1 on the bottom. You have to have a 1 on the bottom of your dice, and you have to have a, wait a second. I got the wrong dice. Let me see. Oh, these dice are not made the same. It's so cool because I know the answer already. Okay, this is a 1 dice and a 4 dice. Okay, when you're like that, 4 for 1, 1 for 4. What a good exchange, eh? 1 for me, 1 for you. It's perfect. It's right here. 1 for me, 1 for you. 1 for me, 1 for you. 1 for me, 1 for you. And everything else is too far away, so we only can share with the middle and what the middle has. So anybody wants to go to the middle, that's the way it is. That's the way URANTIA is. 2014 is the biggest time in the history of all man. Okay? 7,286 years. Okay, since the beginning dot was scribbled down in URANTIA, 1,521 years before the time of man. And the 1521 is the 15, they're both passages, and 21 is 3 creation. The total of the 1521 actually is a 9. Okay, where do I get these numbers? All I did is subtracted the year of 5775 of the Hebrew calendar against the time of what I got one night as URANTIA in one of my books. And those are the numbers that came out, that calculated, because I can just calculate it. Well, what can I do? You know? And anyways, it comes a time now, and there's never been a time before this, because in between the time after Jesus, okay, after you pass the 33 age, okay, a birth would have to take place at 35, and that's right in the center of passage. And you can't take passage, okay, until you're old enough to make your own creation. 13, the number of a man in the Hebrew calendar. So what happens, he can't go after the 1,000-year mark. He can't do anything anymore. He only can send his little angel helpers inside of us. And the reason for that is because you're in the 10 world. 1,000 in this and 1,000 in that. Because 1,000, 1000, is 10 dash, or 1, dash, and then you have CB codes. 10, 20 is 1,000. So that's God's world, is his expression of creation. And what we must do comes in to God's world in CB codes, and the highest code is 10200, okay, which says the year 2000. Now, when is the passage for the year 2000? Well, it shows it right on the Monopoly board, the 14th and 15th position. Once you're on that position, it's a birth position next to a train track. They call Reading, Pennsylvania, where the Liberty Bell is. When you track down the 6 original hockey teams and flip it over, okay, and to the Liberty Bell, it makes the 2 ribs of Adam. They come back together making a heart around Boston, New York, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Ohio, Illinois, and somehow the legs run off, one going back up into Canada, and one obviously that passes near Kansas. And then obviously it rebounds, goes around California, makes a heart. And the heart it makes is only in Kansas. The king of creation, the worldly winds that blew in Kansas is what twisted and tied everything together so God can make the ball of wax to get everything rolling, because everything goes in out and out your ear except for the wax, and the gold is to keep everything warm and lubricated. URANTIA. So 2014 is the next year. Now the thing is, to come in, you've had to visit before inside this person. So this person had to be born in a 9, because that's the birth number. Okay, so when he comes in, it had to be born in a 9. When he's not making transitional passage like he did with Moses and Jesus. Okay, because we didn't have the computer system. You see, the world wasn't full yet. Jesus died because God came here. He created a world for the world to be full. Otherwise, everything falls into the ocean. When everything falls into the ocean, it's the lost of the potion coming out of the earth. So now it's full, and now it's time the gray goose gets to work. So what happens to this URANTIA is that, let me try and figure it out. He has to be, okay, over the age of 45, the number of the heaven of creation, okay, inside the world of 10, covering the 4 angles, because that's what this is. So 4 would say either April, and 10 would say October. So we either have April or October, the 10th or the 4th of which one. So that means there's a cross now. We have a cross from April 4th, or April 10th to October 4th, or October 10th, or April 10th to April 4th. But October 10th, okay, happened last year. So that can't be October 10th. So it only can be October 4th. That would be the 10 of the 4th. And in the 1900s, it had to be when the Spirit entered man, after the creation and the writing of all the Bible codes inside Morse code, and then tailed off into CB language. So once they get into this mode, you're now transported, entered into a new world, because in roulette, you jumped over the first 18 to the second 18, but you're only here in spirit because you're a red 19. The only red odd number on the board in roulette. So you can't beat 20 because beta is 20, okay? But you can be a part of it. So you're 21, blackjack, because you're the 2 and 1 of creation, the beta and the God. You are the 3 creation. We live on earth. You are the 2 and 1 creation. Man is 3, when man is 6, his birth is 9. So she becomes a 2-9 creator. So now you're at 21. But the only thing that came to thing is that your house was built. That's your angel, okay? So now at the age of 23, you're at creation, and at 24, you have your own haven in your house, okay? And when you use 25 and 27, the only thing I want to refer to is it's a crossroad, the crossover when you pass from Kansas going over the Colorado mountains. Okay, back to the thought adjuster, okay? So what he does now is he finds. So now I have, okay, 1959, 5 and 9 is 14, 4 and 1 is 5, 1, 1959, all odd numbers. No good. No good. You can't do that. 1949, 4 and 9, 13, 2 odd numbers, 4 is odd, 9, can't do that. 1939, well, 1938, 1939, wow, 1938 would have to be the birth of the spirit transfer. 1938, my father was born in 1938, and 11/7. He was the two passage doors, 7 and 11. Because you add 2 to one and minus 2 from the other, you got a Lenin, the satellite that just passed now, the satellite that brought in new communications to our oceans, in which will be transferred onto us and through the Antarctica ice break into change time for the history of man forever, in which most people won't notice unless they take notice of the understanding of what URANTIA is all about. So this thought adjuster enters into the father of a birth. But why can't it be this father? Because he came in at 7-11. That's where the store was. The store is the 7-11 store. That's how I put it together. So the first entry, okay, which has to enter into the beta worlds and live and know the father and the grandfather, and through them, and then the third passage of him, he has to pass 3 passages, about 200 years or 225 years. That's why the Jewish calendar is missing 225 years, is because his passage to reach the grandfather into the father into the man, okay, is 75 years of each one's history. Because each one, as he's birthed, he splits up into the second one, and he becomes into 2 people. And then when that child's birth, he has 3 parts in one world, plus that standing person, that's the 4th corner. So whoever this father was of 1938, his son would have to be born in a year where there was even, which made everything perfect. You see, because 9 actually is odd, but to the left it's even, and to the right it's even, and it falls in love. It falls in love with an egg. The 9 falls in love with an egg, because to the right it's the 0. There is no 10. 10 is an explanation, it's an expression. Take your pen out. I got oil in my pen. So this thought adjuster passes on to this third person, okay, and now what he can do is he has to fight the red devil. Now what is the red devil? Well, he is actually the black devil, because we're black. We're blackjacks. That's the way we are. We're blackjacks with a red devil inside of us. And that red devil is the hunger of life, to want to live. So what happens, I'm going to skip over that and go back to the thought adjuster. He sees that he's going to lose his ocean, the letter O. One of the only letters in the only vowel, okay, that's a 15th vowel, that's 1 and 6. 1 and 5 is 6. It's even. It's the circle of life. Oh my God, something's happening. Wow, oh my God. Oh my God, don't lose this. Don't lose this. Okay, so he gets into this, and he has to fight the red devil. Now, this is what the red devil does. You see, we went into the jungle, and we took away everything from the lions. And they saw what we did, and they got fierce. And they came back into life, some of them. Okay, you can't take away the jungle from the lions, okay, because it disbalances everybody. It's our choice. We have a thing, but everything gets tilted one way and tilted the other way, and everything takes time in creation, so that's why it took so long to come out. So now what happens is his people, God sees, this thought adjuster sees, he sees on his crystal ball. This is his crystal ball. He sees the balance, the angle, he knows what it has to be. He knows if it does this, okay, and you put yourself at the South Pole and the North Pole, you burn your ass and you freeze your ass in hell. So now you divided up the 2 parts of the world. One is in heaven, one is in hell. One is freezing his ass, the other one's in Jamaica taking the sun, smoking a joint and having a good time. Okay? The exit port is here in Quebec. It's kiss my ass. It's je me souviens. Do I remember? And what do I remember? They said it. It's only because one person said it. But if one person said, what do I remember? Then it must go back a long history to put it on our license plate. Because the mark of your plate is the paper you signed. And that paper you signed, you owe to the bank. And they take away your car. They take away your life. So what happens with all these people that are thinking that they're doing so great? They ain't doing so great. And nobody's going to hurt them. The plague is all on them. And that's why Moses said the plague's that way. The last one was backwards. Okay, the Greeks started this whole thing in goodness until they mixed up with the archangel, and that archangel is the letter R, angel resident. So this whole thing is basically your life, and we're inside this thing. We're inside this thing, and we're on this thing. You see, there's a space. Well, we live on the space. You see the sky out there. You can't go any further than what says this space. So what happens? The thought adjuster has to come down here, and the thought adjuster is rich. He is the richest guy in the world. He can have anything he wants. He's one of us in our society right now. Okay, because while, okay, this person is being born, the thought adjuster is born in everybody. Born in the same year, on the same day of this one person, so we can have the aspect of the entire world through one eye of the machine of Christ. Beta Christ. beta Jack, blackjack, Jack Daniels. So what happens is he's in everybody, and he sees how to get to their hearts. And the hearts he wins over, and the groups and the churches start to collect. Now they see what they have to do. And now things in the world get funny. And things start to change, and people get nervous. So every move they make, he counteracts the move. And every move they make, and the harder they go, the harder he goes. But guess what? He goes first, he goes last. You know what I'm saying? When you play pool, who goes first, who goes last? Black and white. He's a skunk. He don't stink too much. We don't smell him any time, but he stinks. They don't want to see him by the red devil. What happens when the black and the white and the red get together? Oh my God. Oh my God. All the paper that they use in the stock market, when it hits the red ink from the black and the white, everybody loses. So you don't want another red devil around to touch your green money. But what happens when you put red on green? What happens to these mixtures is the explanation of why we have these colors for a better understanding if we can see through just the letter count, C-O-L-O-R. It's all about calories because we're all dots and little pieces. We weigh absolutely nothing. It's all in the mind and what you can handle in life. So anyways, what happens, he pops into all these minds, and all of a sudden the stock market starts to go weary. But why is it going weary, and why now more than ever before since the time of Christ? Because in my book, The Thought Adjuster came for a reason. He doesn't waste any time. He has 25 years between coming in and leaving from one to another.